This week on the Measure of a Man Barbershop series, we interview Steve Sincere Giles of Director's Cut Incorporated. We learn from him what it means to be a barber today, what it takes to be a celebrity barber, and from a barber's perspective, what's the measure of a man. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so we'll get right into the questions. Please tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you become a barber? Why did you become a barber?
I became a barber when I was very young. It was like I was 17. It was something that I somewhat, I wouldn't say inspired to do, but I was very, very intrigued on wanting to learn about it and get into the profession and learn about it even more. Just the whole thing of cutting hair was somewhat of an art to me, and I was an art student in high school, so the two made sense to me as far as to interact the two.
Did you go to school for it, or did you apprentice?
Apprentice.
Okay.
I didn't go to school for it. I apprenticed. It was one of those things where in the beginning I kind of taught myself as far as like from what I saw other barbers do. I asked questions if there was any questions that needed to be asked from my perspective, and I took it upon myself to practice, so to speak, because I knew that practice makes perfect. So.
Great. What does it mean to you to be a barber? What did it mean back then when you were just starting out, and has that changed or morphed in any way to how you view being a barber today?
Well, when I first started, definitely it was more of a means of economic to try to make sure that I took care of myself and took care of the things that I needed at that point in time. And it was a learning process for me. I felt that anything that I put my hands on, I wanted to make sure that I perfected. And so barbering was a source of income as well as a source of perfection, a task of that, a profession that I didn't know anything about and I wanted to perfect it. As years gone by and I seem to have perfected it and learned how to work into the shop system, things of that nature, it turned into not only me knowing how to cut hair, but it turned into understanding the different textures of hair, understanding hair, period. Just understanding more in depth of what barbering is and the tools that you use and how to use them, things of that nature. And the more years I spent doing it, the more intrigued I was with it and wanted to know more about it and learn more about it. Up till now, recently, I've definitely done more of my research on it. I know more about the history of barbering, you know, from the barber pole to etc. And it's more of a staple for me in the sense of that I take pride in what I do, so to speak. So by that, it's not just a profession for me, it's a way of life.
Someone say men will soon enough cheat on their girlfriend before they cheat on their barber. Growing up, did you have one particular barber that you would go to?
No. To be honest with you, growing up, a haircut wasn't within my family, it wasn't something that was of importance. It was just whenever you get it, that's when you get it, as far as from a child's perspective. Maybe because they were adults, it meant more to them, but from a child's perspective, it was more so whenever you get a haircut, it's whenever you get a haircut. So haircuts to me were like going to Disneyland for certain kids, you understand what I'm saying? So, and at that point in time, it was more so of not necessarily going to a barber. It was whoever in your family knew how to cut hair at that time or thought they knew how to cut hair. That was going to be your barber for whatever reason.
So you didn't have the traditional experience of going to a barber shop?
Not until I was before teen, I would say, maybe like around 10 years old or so. I actually went to the barber shop for the first time and sat in the barber chair and got the experience.
You mentioned that you didn't have the traditional barber experience until you got past 10 years old or so. How was that transition? Did you enjoy going to the barber shop, or you just preferred auntie or uncle cutting your hair?
I enjoyed that experience. It was, you know, was a great experience for me in the sense of being able to sit in a barber chair, have a barber with, barber jacket, cape, the clippers. I just felt that I was getting a professional cut done. You understand what I'm saying? So it was more of a understanding that, okay, I'm going to get hooked up now, as opposed to letting Uncle take his clippers and run it against your head and say, all right, you're done. You know what I'm saying? So.
Did you grow up in the North or the South?
I grew up in the North. I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn, New York. Okay, cool. Let's move on. So you've been able to take the industry by storm, so to speak. You're what we would call a celebrity barber. Can you tell me more about that transition, and how did you get your clientele to cut some of the names that you cut now?
The transition from being a barber to a celebrity barber. I kind of hate that word, celebrity barber. I know that that's what you do, like you're grooming celebrities, so that name has to kind of get, that title has to stay with you to a certain extent, but I just like the word groomer for, like that's much more of a better word to define what I do in a sense. But it doesn't take away from the fact that I am a barber. I definitely understand that. The transition was when I said to myself that it has to be more than just standing here and grooming clients. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but there has to be something more to it than just that. And it was a point in my life where I felt like legacy meant a lot to me. Excuse me. History and legacy meant a lot to me. And I asked myself, yes, I'm a barber, but what am I bringing to this profession besides standing here 12, 14, hours a day, if that, to groom or cut a person's hair? I mean, I enjoyed the experience of a client getting up, feeling satisfied, and knowing that they got exactly what they wanted. But to me, it had to be definitely more than that. So, and noticing music videos and noticing, celebrities, I'm asking myself, well, who's being hired to cut these people here? Because I'll watch a TV show or something or a video, and I'll be like, this haircut is terrible. Like, I could have done something so much better than that. You know what I mean?
Probably cry when you see Jamie Foxx sometimes, right?
Sometimes, you know what? Yeah, sometimes, because there's no way his line is supposed to be like right here. I don't get it. But yeah, I find myself doing that. So in the event of me doing that, I always, I asked myself, I told myself rather that, look, there has to be something different. I have to do something different. I have to be a part of this somehow, some way. And so I came up with the name Director's Cut Inc. And surprisingly, it wasn't something that I came up with to be in the TV and film industry. It was just something that I wanted to do just to be in the industry. And created that name, did everything that I needed as far as paperwork was concerned, and moving forward, as far as me attaining the clients that I attained, it was through the help of a fashion editor at XXL magazine. In the beginning, it was more so of a situation where it was just like, look, what was replaying in my head was, it has to be somebody in your phone book, so to speak, that that can take you from one level to the next level of whatever it is that you're trying to do in life. And I've literally scrolled down my phone book looking for names and reaching out to people and telling them, look, this is what I'm trying to do, this is what I'm trying to get involved in. If not that I'm looking for you to give me a handout, but if you have anything that relates to what it is that I'm trying to do, just give me a shout. And a friend of mine's, a real good friend of mine, his name is Coffee. He was the fashion editor of XXL magazine. I reached out to him and said the same exact thing to him in a meeting, and he said, okay, definitely, you know, when something arrives or if I hear something, I'll definitely let you know. I got you. And lo and behold, he was doing a shoot with a model, and he needed a groomer, and he said, look, here's your opportunity. I want you to groom this model for this shoot, this fashion shoot I'm doing, and let's see how it works. I did the shoot. He liked my whole aura, my presence, and everything of that nature, aside, because he already knew me as a friend. He didn't know me as a businessman. Mm-hmm. And for him to see that perspective of me, it, you know, intrigued him, and it surprised him, and he was very, very well, you know, he liked it very much, and he said, you know what, from now on, whenever I'm doing shoots, you're the person that I'm going to reach out to. Fast forward, there was a shoot that I had to do with him and Michael Kenneth Williams, and within that shoot, you know, I was taking care of Michael and grooming him and making sure that on set he wasn't too shiny or anything of that nature. And I guess that struck a nerve with Michael because he has never seen anything like that. You know, when I walk into a set, I'm with a suit and tie and a briefcase with my clippers in it. Not too much people have seen that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what caught him off guard. On top of that, the attention to detail that I gave him, and it was so attentive, and it was just business. It wasn't, I was at craft services eating while he was on set, you know, working and everything like that. It was more so I was always hands-on. He liked that. To a point that after the shoot, he had my number, he got my business card, and, you know, we left on those terms. That shoot may have happened like maybe, I'm maybe speculating here, I don't remember, but it was maybe like around October, November or so. I didn't get a call from Michael until like March of, what was that, 2011, when he told me that, he asked me would I be available to be his personal groomer for Boardwalk Empire, and that was season 2. And I said, sure. I walked into that situation surprisingly, like knowing very little about the set life from that perspective, TV and film. And everyone that was in hair and makeup welcomed me with open arms and showed me the way and helped me along the way to where, you know, I'm ultimately hands-on Michael when it comes to Boardwalk Empire. That's how I met Michael. Another instance is Diggy Simmons. I met Diggy through a XXL shoot as well. They were doing the freshman issue, and he was on the cover of the freshman issue, and there were like 11 artists for that freshman issue. Out of the 11 artists, maybe 3 of them, or 4 of them actually, 2 came with their hair groomed already, and the other 2 had their barber on set to groom them. The other half of people that were there, I groomed them, including Diggy Simmons. And Diggy liked this haircut so much that when his barber at the time wasn't available for him, he made it an issue to be like, look, I like the way that this guy cut my hair. Let's find out where he is. And it was a coincidence that my cousin was producing his first album at that time, a couple of songs on his first album. So when they put the 2 and 2 together, that's how we connected, and I've been his barber ever since. Yeah, that's how that happened.
That's good.